Imagine waking up one day to find your pet snake had swallowed your fellow housemate. Sounds like a scene from a horror movie, right? This is no work of fiction, folks. This is a real-life event, as chilling as it sounds. Picture this. It's a regular Tuesday morning in a quiet suburban neighborhood. The sun is just peeking over the rooftops and the air is crisp with the scent of freshly brewed coffee wafting from nearby houses. In one of these homes, a roommate stumbles upon a sight that's about as far as one could get from ordinary. Instead of their housemate, whom they expected to find sprawled on the couch with a cup of steaming java, they find a pet snake. A pet snake that seems to have swallowed something considerably larger than the mice it usually feasts on. The shock is immediate, the realization paralyzing. The housemate, or rather what's left of them, is nowhere to be found. The only clue to their whereabouts is the ominous bulge in the belly of the python, an otherwise docile creature they've shared their living room with for years. As the roommate's heart races, their mind struggles to comprehend the scene before them. The snake, their friend's beloved pet, has turned predator. It's a sobering reminder of the wild instincts lurking beneath the surface of even the most domesticated creatures. In a state of disbelief, they reach for their phone, dialing the emergency services with trembling hands. The voice on the other end of the line is calm, professional, but there's an underlying note of disbelief as the roommate explains the situation. The line goes silent for a moment, long enough for the roommate to wonder if they've been mistaken for a prank caller. Then the operator's voice crackles back to life, promising help is on the way. The roommate hangs up, their gaze drifting back to the snake. The snake, oblivious to the commotion it's caused, continues to rest, digesting its most unfortunate meal. The snake had devoured its owner. The roommate, in shock, could do nothing but watch as the emergency services arrived. But how did it happen? How did a pet snake end up swallowing its owner? These questions have puzzled many since the unthinkable event took place. Let's delve into the circumstances leading up to this tragic incident. The owner, a man deeply engrossed in the world of reptiles, had an uncommon fascination with snakes. This wasn't your typical pet-owner relationship, it was an obsession. His home was more of a sanctuary, a haven for his slithering companions. Among his collection was the pet snake that would ultimately become his demise. This man didn't just keep snakes, he lived with them. He shared his life, his space, and even his bed with these creatures. Yes, you heard it right. He had a unique habit of sleeping with his snakes, a practice most would find unsettling, if not outright shocking. This particular snake, the one responsible for his tragic end, was often his bedfellow. Now, one might ask, how does one develop such an attachment to a creature known for its cold-blooded nature? Well, the answer lies in the man's skewed perception of the snake as a friend rather than a pet. He treated the snake as an equal, communicating with it, feeding it by hand, and even allowing it to roam freely around his home. This was not a pet-owner relationship, it was a companionship, a kinship of sorts. Unfortunately, this bond was one-sided. For the snake, its instincts prevailed over any semblance of a bond. The man, being so close to the snake, presented himself as an easy target, an opportunity that the snake's predatory instincts couldn't resist. In the end, the man's obsession with snakes, his unusual habits, and his misguided perception of the snake as a friend, rather than a predatory creature, set the stage for the tragic incident. Little did he know, his unusual friendship with the snake would lead to a tragic end. But what about the snake? What led it to commit such a horrifying act? Let's dive into the mind of this cold-blooded creature to understand its instincts and behavior. Snakes are fundamentally different from us in the way they perceive the world around them. They don't see the world in the same way we do. Their vision is more attuned to movement and heat rather than intricate details or colors. It's a world interpreted in shades of warmth and motion, a survival mechanism that has been fine-tuned over millions of years. The snake's predatory nature is a crucial part of its existence. It's not a bloodthirsty monster, but a creature following the dictates of its biological programming. For a snake, survival is about two things: eating and avoiding being eaten. It's a simple yet harsh reality. In this world, everything that moves can either be a meal or a threat. Now let's consider the snake's perception of its owner. To the snake, the owner wasn't a friend or a companion. The snake doesn't have the capacity for such complex social constructs. Instead, it saw its owner as a source of warmth, a provider of food, and possibly as just another part of the environment. On that fateful day, the snake saw its owner in a different light. Perhaps the owner moved in a way that triggered the snake's predatory instincts. Maybe the owner smelled like food, or the snake was simply too hungry and saw an opportunity. It's hard to say exactly what happened, but the snake's instincts took over. It's essential to remember that the snake didn't act out of malice or hatred. It was acting on pure instinct, responding to the signals it was receiving from its environment. This instinctual behavior is deeply ingrained in the snake's DNA, a survival mechanism that has been passed down through countless generations. In the end, it was the snake's natural instincts that led to this tragic event. In the aftermath of such a shocking event, what happened next? The community response was swift, widespread, and filled with a mix of shock, horror, and disbelief. Neighborhoods were abuzz with hushed whispers and incredulous conversations, the story of the snake and its unfortunate owner spreading like wildfire. Many people could not wrap their heads around the reality of what had occurred, the unthinkable tragedy serving as a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of exotic pets. The snake, the unfortunate star of this horrifying spectacle, was quickly removed from the scene by local animal control officers. The creature, now infamous and widely feared, was handled with extreme caution, the officers well aware of the lethal capabilities it had displayed. It was ultimately relocated to a specialized facility, where it could be properly taken care of and pose no further threat to human life. The authorities, meanwhile, were forced to grapple with a situation they had never anticipated. The incident sparked an intense investigation, with officials poring over details to understand how such a tragedy could have occurred. The owner's house was inspected thoroughly, and all aspects of the snake's living conditions, diet, and behavior were scrutinized to prevent such an incident from happening again. In the wake of the tragedy, there was an immediate call for a review of the laws concerning the ownership of exotic pets. The event highlighted the potential dangers of keeping such animals in domestic environments, and there was a strong push for stricter regulations. Subsequently, new rules were implemented, placing more stringent requirements on those wishing to own exotic pets. The need for proper training, adequate enclosures, and regular veterinary checks became mandatory in an attempt to ensure the safety of both the animals and their owners. The event sent shockwaves through the community, leading to a re-evaluation of the laws concerning exotic pets. It served as a grim reminder of the potential risks involved in keeping these creatures, prompting a significant shift in the way society views and handles the ownership of exotic animals. So what can we take away from this chilling event? In the grand scheme of life, we're but fleeting visitors in the animal kingdom, and the story of the snake that swallowed its owner has left us with several invaluable lessons. Most importantly, it has underscored the perils of keeping exotic pets without the right knowledge and precautions. A pet isn't just a living ornament to show off to friends or an exotic addition to your Instagram feed. It's a living, breathing organism with needs, instincts, and behaviors that demand respect and understanding. The snake in our story wasn't a villain, nor was it a monster. It was an animal that acted on instinct, in a situation that could have been avoided. It's essential to remember that exotic pets like snakes aren't domesticated like dogs and cats. They don't understand human actions and emotions the same way. A snake doesn't differentiate between the hand that feeds it and the potential meal that hand represents. This brings us to our second lesson. Understanding an animal's behavior is crucial before deciding to keep it as a pet. Every creature, from the tiniest mouse to the largest elephant, has a unique set of behaviors, needs, and instincts. We must respect these traits and adapt to them, not the other way around. We owe it to these animals to learn their language, to understand their needs, and to provide an environment where they can thrive. Finally, the story has taught us the importance of expert advice. It's not enough to rely on a few online articles or a friendly chat with a fellow enthusiast. Always get advice from a professional who has studied and worked with these animals. Their knowledge can be the difference between a healthy, happy pet and a tragic situation, like the one we've discussed. In the end, it's a stark reminder of the thin line between fascination and danger when it comes to dealing with the animal kingdom. And it's our responsibility to tread that line with respect, knowledge, and a deep understanding of the creatures we choose to share our lives with.